We've got a great number of men and women of great qualifications come forward to serve this new administration, and I'm just humbled to be a part of it.
Vice President-elect Mike Pence talking about the transition at Trump Tower this week. And it's time now for our Sunday group. Laura Ingraham, editor of LifeZette. Fox News political analyst Juan Williams. Bob Woodward from the Washington Post, and Washington Examiner contributor Lisa Boothe. Well, Laura, we got to start this discussion about personnel picks with you, about you, because as has been widely reported, I know you're shaking your head, you are under consideration to be the White House press secretary. Two quick questions. Have you talked with Donald Trump since the election, and is this still a possibility?
Yes, and I guess so. I really don't have anything new to say about it other than the fact that, it's an intriguing idea, and it really is a great privilege to be considered. They have a really good team. Kellyanne obviously is phenomenal. First woman to run a presidential campaign. And I know Sean Spicer's over there doing great stuff, and people like Jason Miller. So they got a lot of good people out there, but it's nice to be considered, and I'm always open to new adventures. So
let me ask you a broader question on the issue. There's been a lot of criticism about Donald Trump's relationship with the press, that he's targeted reporters during the campaign, that he's ditched his press pool. Do you think he understands the role that the media plays, particularly now covering a president?
I think he does, and I think what a lot of folks after this election cycle ended believe is that the press really was stacking the deck in their own way against Trump. Every public opinion survey reveals that. I've had conversations with network chiefs over the last week who themselves have admitted that they missed the boat on this, and they were operating inside their own bubbles and not talking to enough Americans. So I think, without pointing fingers, I think there's a lot to be learned from this election. I think the press needs to learn more. I think some of us in the commentator class need to keep our eyes and ears open. Respect, I think, is really important. And I think there are reporters who do great work out there. And sometimes they're not from the traditional network. Sometimes they're from new media. But I think it's important that we have a vigorous press and a fair press. And I think that's all people really should expect.
Bob, the big picks so far have been on the national security side. I want to run through them quickly. Congressman Pompeo for CIA director, Senator Sessions for Attorney General, and General Flynn for National Security Advisor. And we're now hearing that it's likely Trump will pick retired Marine General James Mattis for Secretary of Defense. What do those choices tell you so far? And we don't have a defense pick set. We don't have the Secretary of State. What do they tell you about how you think Mr. Trump's going to deal with the world?
Well, those are people close to him. They are hardliners. But I think, as Laura was suggesting, that in presenting and talking about these people, when you dig into who they are and they have controversial pasts, presenting them as one-dimensional is a giant mistake. These are complex people, and in line with what she was saying about Trump, there's a paradox in Trump. He has a thin skin, as everyone knows, but he also has a thick skin, and I know that personally. When months ago we had a long interview with him and did a story which was tough, instead of tweeting against us or denouncing us, he said it was fair and accurate.
Wow, I got to get the secrets Bob Woodward sauce here. We ask you for questions for the panel, and we got a bunch on this issue of Trump's picks. We got this from Monica Neese on Facebook. President Trump's selections at this point are very clear. Laws will be enforced. Democrats can get on board or get out of the way. America is on her way to being reestablished, and the worldview is tough but fair. One, more of a statement than a question, but how do you answer, Monica?
Well, I think the United States already is tough and fair. I think we're exceptional already, and we're dominant in terms of our military and our economic prowess. I don't think that's in dispute. I think the question really is about the appointments and the appointment process. So you have people who I would say don't fit into exactly a team of rivals, but to many people, a team of radicals. A team of radicals in terms of what are these people representing? Flynn, Mike Flynn, I don't think he could be confirmed, but so he's getting the National Security Advisor job. I think his past in national security and the number of
Defense
people.
Intelligence Agency?
Yes, specifically as head of Defense Intelligence, and the way that he left there, and questions about his management style and about sharing information and what some in the intelligence community call Flynn facts, which is facts that don't comport with what others in the intelligence community believe to be true. Colin Powell writing in the WikiLeaks leak that he thought he was unhinged. I think this tells you it would be very difficult. Jeff Sessions, who went after Elena Kagan when she was appointed to the court because of her radical associations, and cited former Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. I wrote a biography of Marshall. Sessions said, well, you're associated with these kind of activist judges who are more after their own political ends than justice. Well, if you apply that to Jeff Sessions and the fact that he was rejected for a federal judgeship 30 years ago, we didn't have very sensitive race relations 30 years ago as compared to today, and he was rejected then.
All right, let me bring in Lisa. You want to push back on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, as U.S. Attorney General, he brought cases to desegregate schools and also led the prosecution.
U.S. Attorney.
Against a U.S. Attorney, yeah. And he also brought cases to desegregate schools. And he also prosecuted and got the death penalty as Attorney General of Alabama for a Klansman. So I think that's ridiculous. And if you actually look at the choices that Donald Trump has made so far, he ran a campaign about being a maverick, of going to Washington, D.C. to shake things up. And the people that he's bringing alongside him are also known for shaking things up. And I think the message that it sends by looking at someone like Lieutenant General Flynn sends that or Mattis as well, General Mattis, is that he's going to go after ISIS. You look at what Flynn did alongside with General McChrystal. They turned the JSOC into one of the most lethal terrorist hunting organizations. So I think it sends a strong message that we're going to go after ISIS. We're going to go after ISIS strong and hard. And another point that a lot of people aren't making, I think his conversations that he is having with the likes of Mitt Romney and Ted Cruz also sends a strong signal to the Republican Party that we are united right now. And the irony of that is the duration of the general election. Everyone was talking about how Donald Trump's going to lead Republicans into the wilderness for generations. Well, guess what? Guess which party's in the wilderness right now? It's the Democratic Party, who's had to delay nominations because they don't know what the future looks like for them.
Well, I think when you think about someone like Flynn, Americans, Lisa, are concerned when you look at his ties to Russia, his ties to Vladimir Putin, when they think about his ties to Turkey.
What are you talking about?
Remember, he went.
He did go to a dinner.
Thank you. He not only go to a dinner, he went to a dinner for Russia Today and was with Putin, and he was taking money from the Turkish government. These are facts, Laura.
Well, here's what
We're
I think.
almost out of time, so a quick
Okay,
answer.
well,
No,
there's
go
a lot
ahead.
said by Juan, but what you said, team of radicals. This is the kind of stuff that has turned people against Washington, D.C. And these types of lines against true patriots who sacrifice for their country, who are beloved among the men and women in the military, who actually do the heavy lifting for all of us. Mattis, General Mattis, is one of the most beloved Marines of the last 50 years. General Flynn is considered one of the preeminent intelligence experts of our age. So to throw out these lines, a team of radicals, that serves nobody's interest. If you have a substantive disagreement with their approach to fighting terror or their approach to intelligence, that's fine. But these blithe comments, I think, have poisoned political discussion in this country, and I think it's exactly why people despise this city.
Well, I'm glad we wrapped that up. All right, panel, let's take a break here.